Justice for all is one of the fundamental principles of our democracy. In criminal cases, equality is ensured by the guarantee of court-appointed attorneys for those who cannot afford representation. In civil cases, however, there is no such guarantee. Low-income people depend on a limited number of civil legal aid programs. With funding from state, federal, and private sources, 14 legal aid programs supported by 7 statewide programs provide free advice, brief service, and representation to Massachusetts residents who cannot afford private attorneys in civil cases.
Low-income people need the help of legal services because our system is structured in such a way that if one is not able to access the legal system, then one can't really obtain justice and fairness and protection in the society. And I believe when one can't get access to justice, and that's not just walking in the door, that means getting competent, dedicated people to represent you, then the entire legitimacy and integrity of the system is called into question.
Legal aid programs provide assistance to the Commonwealth's neediest residents with a variety of legal issues such as domestic violence, child support and custody, access to health care and government benefits, housing, elder issues, and fraud or economic abuse. For some, economic limitations may not be their only barrier to justice.
Often there are language barriers or literacy barriers that make them unable to represent themselves. Often the area of law is very complex and it just wouldn't be possible for most lay people to do it on their own. For those people to get legal representation means they can stop a downward spin and perhaps get some subsistence income or save their housing or get into a training program so that they can find a new and better job. So it's often about stabilizing an individual, stabilizing a family, and seeing them leave in a much better situation.
It's very intimidating in court. Even as a lawyer, oftentimes I'll get intimidated by the judges. I mean, especially someone who's in there for the first time, they may have a plan of what they really want when they go into court, but because of the fast-paced nature of court, they might almost get run over and may agree to do something that really they didn't want to or really wasn't right for them.
The true benefit of legal aid can best be told by those who have sought out and received assistance.
I have glaucoma in both eyes, and actually the left eye, the eyesight is probably about 10%, and the right eye is about 30%. My Mass Health and Medicare were terminated. And for 2 years, I didn't have any Mass Health, or I didn't have any Medicare either. I heard about legal aid through my daughter, and I was able to get to the right people, thanks to legal aid and their know-how. They put it through the channels, and I was able to save my Mass Health and Medicare.
Without having child support and making minimum wage and living on my own at the time, as a teen parent that I was, it just made things even more complicated. Every little dime would have helped, and I just looked further into the situation and knew that I had to have some type of help, and I went and I basically went to legal aid to get that type of support that I needed. The attorneys I worked with were very helpful. They helped me through every step of the way that I needed. My issue resolved very well. I did end up getting my child support issue all dealt with, and currently to this day I'm still receiving it, and I'm happy.
Legal Services, may I help you?
But in the most extreme cases, legal aid can help liberate someone in a life-threatening situation. After living with an abusive husband for 17 years, Carla Flanagan fled with her 3 children in 1999. After 3 weeks of hiding, Carla went to the courthouse to apply for a restraining order. That's where she learned about legal aid.
And I contacted legal services, and I really didn't know where to go from there. I wasn't really sure about any other step to take to ensure safety for myself and my children.
With the help of legal aid, Carla got a permanent restraining order. Eventually, her husband was tried in the criminal court system and pled guilty to 3 counts of attempted murder, 2 on her and 1 on her son, in addition to 47 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. But for Carla, there remained the daunting task of rebuilding her life, getting a divorce and property settlement, and gaining custody of her children. These were civil court matters requiring legal aid.
The attorneys that I work with at Legal Services were unbelievable in helping me to gain full custody of my children. They were able to help me with a divorce and help me in a way that really gave me an ability to provide for my children, but also with a certain amount of dignity, which was very difficult for me at that time.
The effectiveness of the legal aid programs is due to the commitment and experience of dedicated attorneys who oftentimes forego higher salaries for the chance to help people in need. Unfortunately, resources are limited and many people who desperately need legal help must be turned away. More funding is needed to ensure that justice is available for everyone.
Oftentimes we do have to turn clients away. There's only a handful of us, and we're representing literally, our area has got hundreds, a couple 100,000 people, and it just would be impossible for us to help everyone. So oftentimes, unfortunately, you have to send people away, and you know that since they couldn't get you, they're basically on their own.
When people come to court and they are on unequal playing fields, when one person has an attorney and another person does not, we're not just talking about a minor, marginal difference in those 2 individuals. It is important that every person, regardless of income, regardless of race, regardless of gender, have an equal shot at putting forth their case and having objective and fair people decide that case.
In recent years, the courts have been inundated with large numbers of people appearing without lawyers. In spite of the best efforts of judges to ensure fairness to all, these unrepresented people are at a severe disadvantage in court. With continued funding and dedicated legal professionals, Massachusetts legal aid programs are doing their part to make sure that the doors to the halls of justice remain wide open. But they can't do it alone. If you care about justice for those who turn to legal aid as a last resort, think about how you can help support legal aid in your community.